Hi class, welcome back to our weekly chats. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on this week. First of all, thank you for turning in your research questions and literature reviews last night. I know that both of those were big assignments and it was difficult to have them due in the same week, so thank you. This week should be a little bit lighter. Breathe a little bit. So let's talk a little bit about the feedback that's going to be coming on those research questions and literature reviews. You will receive feedback on the research questions before you receive feedback on the literature reviews, even though the lit reviews are technically from an earlier lesson. And the reason for that is that you need to have very solid research questions to move forward with the remainder of your research project. So we are going to work to get those into a good place so that you will have them ready to go before you begin the methods section. The methods section is due on Halloween, so October 31st, and just keep that in mind. This section will be a lot shorter and should theoretically involve a whole lot less research than the literature review. So don't panic that due date is coming up quickly. I will provide feedback on the research questions, like I said, before I provide feedback on the lit reviews. And in most cases, that will mean that you need to make significant revisions to those research questions. All revisions will be due by next Friday, which is October 26th. You will need to have those research questions fully approved before you can move forward with the methods section. If for some reason you wrote fantastic research questions from the start, I will let you know and you can begin moving forward with your methods section without redoing those questions, but it will explicitly say that within your feedback. I expect to have that feedback done and ready for you by Tuesday at 5 p.m. I'm hoping to have it done sooner, but there will be a delay on the lit review feedback. Usually all feedback is done within 7 days of submission. In this case, it's probably going to be closer to 10 days on those lit reviews because we're going to front load those research questions. So just keep that in mind. I haven't forgotten to grade your assignment. It's just we don't need feedback on that quite yet to move forward. Okay, so the next big thing that we have going on this week is we have the observational experiment. This is a discussion board. This is individual, and it is not in any way related to your group research project, except to the extent that the prompt does ask you to consider several things about your research project. And those several items are not related to the observational experiment that you conduct. I always get a lot of questions about the observational experiment. It does not need to be anything complicated. I posted an example of an observational experiment with the soap with my family. It was very, very simple, very little effort on my part, but if you were to do something like that, it would help you understand the concept just as well. In previous semesters, students have watched how people cross the street, what they do with their shopping carts at the grocery store. They leave a dish in the sink and see what family members or roommates would do, make a plate of cookies and leave them out, see what happens to the cookies, things like that. You need to create a scenario and observe people's reactions to it. You don't need to recruit a bunch of people to participate. This shouldn't take hours and hours. So, take this as seriously as it needs to be taken, but don't stress. Make sure that when you are doing that discussion board that you answer all sections of the prompt. This class has very few discussion boards, thank goodness, after several revisions to the class. So those few that we do have, you need to make sure that you pay attention and fully participate in. That being said, the discussion board is due on the 24th. You must have all 3 posts submitted by the 24th. If you do not, it will be locked, and that will be sad. So, please don't be sad. All right. Finally, I've received a lot of questions about APA formatting this week. In reference to this class, the very most important part of APA formatting that I want you to drill into your head is APA references and citations. Yes, all the other aspects of APA formatting are fabulous, and you should adhere to those guidelines on the final research paper. But the most important thing that you should stick with the entire semester, the thing I want you to take out of this class, as far as APA formatting goes, is APA references and citations. So, when you are going through and doing these papers, if for some reason you can't get that second line to indent however many spaces or there's something wrong with your running head, do not stress about that. Put your focus on making sure those references and citations are correct. And make sure that the content of your papers is awesome, because you could have fantastic formatting and terrible content, and then you will receive a terrible grade. If you look at the rubrics for most of the major class assignments, APA formatting is just a tiny, tiny, tiny part of those assignment rubrics. And it's usually grouped with something else like proper spelling and punctuation and things like that. So you want that content to be good. You want it to sound like a college student wrote it. I believe you that we can spend hours stressing over APA formatting, because I have personally spent hours stressing over APA formatting, because why can't Microsoft Word make it easy to make that ridiculous AP formatting? Anyway. But we want to use our time wisely, and we want to use it on content, finding good sources, collecting good data, analyzing good data. So if you find yourself in a situation where you are spending 3 hours on APA formatting, not references and citations, but things like your running head or your abstract, take a step back. That is important, but it is ancillary to what we are learning. So focus on what matters. Content matters. Find good sources, analyze good data, write good questions. Let me know if you have any questions about that. I hope you guys have a great week.